if someone walked up to you and said, we're all gathered in one corner of the desert in the United Arab Emirates, and there's a chap called Piquia France at one end and Safayan Sharif at the other, you'd be hard pressed to guess what the sport is and what two nations are playing. Well, just in case you were wondering, it is Scotland versus Namibia. It is, of course, the World Cup, and it is a fine finish for the Namibians, who have got to the second round of this tournament, and they won themselves a game against Scotland. Yes, it took them a while. Yes, they took it to the last over, but that was only to be expected. They were cautious. They got there in the end. JJ Smit, 32 of 23, put the matter beyond doubt of Sharif's first ball of the 20th over. A 4-wicket win for Namibia is what we are celebrating here on Cricbuzz Live, and certainly it's a big day for everybody. If anyone happens to be tuned in from Windhoek, many, many congratulations to you. The centre of Windhoek's cricket is a place called the Wanderers Club, and they'll be absolutely loving it there. I'm joined on Cricbuzz Live by Joy Bhattacharya and Zaheer Khan. Joy, I'll come to you first, since Namibia was the team that you picked. The celebrations that we saw in the first round to get here would pretty much match the euphoria that we saw in Abu Dhabi tonight.
Big thing. I mean, it's a big tournament, and to do well in a tournament like this makes so much of a difference for them. And as I said, again, they will look at that points sheet and they're saying we are just above India, and what a difference that will make to their morale. They'll take screenshot it all they can today. Today, they're sitting ahead of New Zealand, they're sitting ahead of India, and they're sitting ahead of Scotland.
Hold that there. Just hold that there. This is the time. Get the screenshot out. It's Pakistan, Afghanistan, Namibia, then New Zealand and India. Never mind they've played just one game each. The fact is, these things can happen. We've seen Norwich City over Manchester City in the Premiership at times. But yes, we know it'll be temporary, but they need to celebrate it while it lasts. Zaheer, never mind that your team didn't get over. They fought well. They took it to the last over, and full credit to Scotland.
They did, and they stayed in the game. They took advantage of the cautious Namibian batting lineup. They got them to a scenario where they were feeling the pressure. There's no doubt about it, and so full credit to Scotland to make the game out of it. They didn't just leave it to saying that, okay, we were short with the bat, and we're just gonna throw it away. No, it wasn't the case. They were ready to fight till the end, and some good batting was required from Namibian side, and also they had to hold their nerves for sure to get through. You saw those dot balls in the 19 overs as well. The wickets falling at that stage also was adding to that pressure. But Smit was right up there, with holding those nerves and playing those shots and making sure that he finishes with a nice all-round performance. One wicket with the ball, and now 32 of 23 with the bat to make sure Namibia gets those points on the table and secure that first victory of Super 12.
Yeah, certainly it's going to be a historic moment for them, but there would have been anxious moments in their 58 dot deliveries, knowing it's a nation they've played a lot with. Scotland went to the right bowlers at the right time. They had impact in that sense. And of course, Joy, they kept the runs down whenever it was required. Other than Davy, everybody else contributing.
Everyone else contributing, and the fact that they bowled Davy for just 2 overs, who's regarded as their main bowlers, meant that they understood conditions, and they felt. I think what they did feel was that the spinners could land the ball on the spot. So what they did was they said, okay, hit over the top if you have to. I'm going to bring my field in. And I thought they did a brilliant job. I mean, I know Berrington is a temporary captain. He's just waiting there for Kadzai to come back. But I thought for the kind of total he had, he captained the side brilliantly. Because what basically he threw to Namibia was, take risks against me. You want to hit me over the top. I have no problems. It'll go. Because I've bought mid-on and mid-off in. But you have to take that risk against me. And whenever they didn't take the risk, the run rate mounted. Which is why I thought it was they, for a 109 run target that they had, they stretched it out as well as they could.
And certainly, if you look ahead, Zaheer, Scotland have some big games coming on. They've got to play India. They've got to play Pakistan. So for matches like that, no matter how India or Pakistan might approach it, they'll be looking at trying to get so much out of this tournament, savor every moment.
Well, both the teams will be on that journey. It's absorb as much as you can, learn as much as you can, take it back, and start working on that. That's there is no other way of getting better. So it's the journey they're on, and cherish this points table as well. Because this is like a good goal to set, isn't it? Yes, we know that at this point is temporary, but sometime in future, things are going to change. So you got to believe in that, and then there is always a first time. So Namibia has put those points on board. So it's a great achievement, and you have to look at it in that light. You have to inspire people back home for them, to take up cricket seriously, and see that how much happiness it gives you, when you achieve these kind of things.
Joy, I started with a footballing analogy, a hypothetical one, but imagine about 12 years ago, if Leicester City were on top of the points table, say at the start of the season, first 2 wins, 2 matches, they would say, well, one day we can actually, push up and stay there. And a few years later, they actually go and win the Premiership title, leaving behind all the multi-million clubs behind them.
No, absolutely. I mean, cricket really hasn't had a Leicester City kind of story where they've just blown away opposition far better than them, and Leicester City probably never be able to go there before or after that. But the closest, I'm just wondering what the closest. I think the closest would have to be Kenya in 2003 World Cup semi-finals. I mean, as an associate country, getting that far was also a huge thing.
Yeah, and quick word. I know, Zaheer, you talked about the all-round performance from Smit, but a word on an all-round performance from Leask, because they really realized they needed horses for courses. They found the right bowler in Michael Leask, and had it not been for his batting, they would not have got to triple figures.
He had a great outing, isn't it? He led the charge with the bat, got the team to a total which they can play with, and then chipped in with 2 wickets as well. And first wicket in his first over had the impact right away. So yeah, I mean, all-round performance always gives you that edge, isn't it? In this format, and going forward, they need a couple more batters like that, to make that impact. And then if you get all-rounders, that it makes it that much easier for you to then build your team around it. So I think their journey is going to be like that, but certainly a talent to look forward to, and in future you'll definitely see some good performances, because this is going to be definitely a big morale boost for him going forward.
Yeah, so we have picked up positives for Scotland, despite that loss to Afghanistan, and now a loss to their mates, Namibia. I'm sure it's only going to stand them in good stead going forward. But once again, many congratulations to Namibia for their first Super 12 victory in a World Cup. It's a historic moment, and for all cricket fans, it should be savoured. Before we go on to talking about the next game that lies ahead, and after some hectic double headers, it comes on a single header day, some little news coming in from the Indian camp. Looking at a little practice footage of Team India playing, Hardik Pandya has been seen bowling in the nets, Zaheer. So possibly just eavesdropping on that. Good news for Team India looking ahead to that virtual quarterfinal.
Well, great news, certainly. There was a buzz that at some stage he will be starting to bowl, and we'll have to wait and see. When he bowls in the matches. Yes, he started bowling in the nets, so hopeful that he will bowl in the next match. It's going to be crucial, because when Hardik is bowling, that does shifts that balance of the bowling attack in a good strength. As a captain, you have that 6 bowling option. Otherwise, at times in this format, you've seen, if you don't have that, you look at any team right now playing in, they have minimum 6 bowling options when they're going in the game. Except for India, went in with 5 bowling options. You kind of at times get stuck with rotating the bowlers. That Bumrah is going to bowl those overs at the back end. You want him attacking with the new ball as well, that 1 over. As a captain, then it doesn't really give you that much of freedom of rotating the bowlers around, and then that's what we've seen in the previous game as well. So great news that if he is bowling in the nets, hope that he bowls in the match as well.
I'll just stay with you, Zaheer, for a moment. Let's assume this is a scenario around a Mumbai game. He's not bowled for a while. If you're keeping an eye on him, what do you see in someone like a Hardik Pandya bowling in the nets to determine that, yes, it's good enough, now go out there and bowl in a match?
I think the key is in intensity. The first and foremost, you got to be able to bowl at 100% of your capacity, and that you can easily judge in nets. There is no, you don't need a match scenario for that. Second most important thing is all your variations. So as a bowler, if you are 100% fit or at your peak, what are the kind of things which you do? Be it the bouncer which you bowl, the yorker which you bowl. What are your strengths? The variation which you do. So all those parameters are going to be critical. If you are able to tick all those boxes, then that means you are ready. Yes, at times you might be rusty or underbowled, but personally for me, every time you get into that match situation, the situation takes over. Like how I was talking about Virat as well in the previous game. It doesn't matter what's happening. A big match player is a big match player. So if you enjoy those tough situations, you will forget about everything else and you'll just go with the game at that stage.
Yeah, I had to stay with Zaheer on that, Joy. Not too many people would know Hardik the person, Hardik the bowler, Hardik the preparation better than him. So good news for India.
No, absolutely fantastic news for India, and who better, as I said, to tell us about it than Zaheer, who knows Hardik. I remember 3 years back, Zach telling us about the fact that Bumrah, everyone was excited about him as a bowler, and he said Bumrah will make a great test bowler as well. And that was not something that was immediately apparent in the start of his career. But that's something that we got to understand, that, Bumrah is somebody, and obviously it requires Zach, the man who can smell a heavy roller, 20 kilometers away and knows the pitch like the back of his hand. So he just needs to see the action once. And I one of the points that he made about Bumrah, saying that when you have a total like 150, you needed to attack up front with him. Wasting an over of his, for him to not have 3 overs, bowl his complement of overs, meant that somewhere probably our plans had gone wrong. So I totally agree. And I think Hardik is great news for India, because you cannot play with 5 bowlers. I just believe, because Bhuvanesh was off form and he looked as if he just wanted to finish his overs, and Virat looked around and there was nobody to go to. If he had to go, it would have to be him. And really, I love Virat Kohli, but I don't enjoy seeing him bowl.
Yeah, it's an interesting action that he's got over there. We can make a list of maybe Piqué or France will make that interesting bowling actions that we don't get to see enough of in this particular tournament. So Virat Kohli, Piqué or France, get a few more names in, and we'll see what another interesting 11 we can create. We haven't made enough interesting 11s in this tournament yet. We had all our PPTs and PTPs in the last tournament. Let's see what we can start creating here. For now, let's move ahead. Australia v Sri Lanka. This should be another humdinger. It's a single header. It's a night game coming from Dubai, match number 22. And it's 2 teams, both coming off a win. Today we were talking about teams both coming off losses, trying to recover. But Zaheer, it'll be 2 confident teams in a sense. Let's start with Team Australia, who have actually looked much better than people gave them a chance. They were talking England, West Indies, so many other teams. Not too many people talked about Australia at the start of the tournament.
Yeah, and their bowling attack looked very good. Bowling attack looked settled, even though they had 7 bowling options going in the match. They just used 5. So they have those 2 options up their sleeves. They managed to win against a strong South African bowling lineup. So even though the game was close, you have to look at it in that light, that it wasn't just easy to face those bowlers. Rabada, Nokia was really coming hard at them. So the victory was very important. Once a team like Australia starts off in this fashion, they're always going to be a threat in the tournament for sure. So it's not going to be an easy outing for Sri Lanka for sure. Even though I liked their intent in the first game, that first half we were actually not giving Sri Lanka that much of a chance, but they were in with a fight. They were ready to get dirty there. You saw some fight happening on the ground as well when Lahiru Kumara was going after the batters, and all the players gathered together. So they are up to change things around for Sri Lankan team. So it's going to be a good contest, but I think Australia will have an upper hand for sure.
Yeah, staying with Australia, I think we talked a lot about Moeen Ali and whether Moeen Morgan would stick to that strategy. Australia have occasionally used Glenn Maxwell right at the top. Off spin, Sri Lankan left-handers could just be an option with a good pace battery at the other end.
No, I think Glenn Maxwell is crucial to their plans. He's playing well. Their big problem right now is that Finch and Warner are not in form. If Finch and Warner have in form, because see, they have the bowling attack. Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins is the nucleus of a fantastic fast bowling attack. And if you put everything together, Australia has the firepower. You have Mitch Marsh, you have a genuine all-rounder. You have two genuine all-rounders, Glenn Maxwell, Mitch Marsh. So you have the pieces that make a great team. You have everything together. They're just not looking like an overwhelming Australian team that they used to look like in the early 2000s when Zaheer was inactive. They looked as if it was almost impossible to beat them. I don't think they're like that. England looks much more like that than Australia does now, but they're a very, very, very strong side. And I think if they have one more victory, which is big, they gain in confidence. Australia is a very dangerous side. But Finch, Warner, somewhere they need to shake off what they're just not yet there.
Well, I'm going to counter you on something, Joy, not from my point of view, from David Warner himself, from the birthday boy, because he has come out with a statement saying, I have no idea why people are talking about my lack of form. Have I had enough cricket on my belt to actually show the kind of form? Haven't played enough in the IPL, words to that effect in his quote. So is that a fair defense from Warner's perspective? Zaheer, can we be fair to him on his birthday?
Well, I think he's just trying to show that I'm confident that I will get runs. I think this is just a way of saying that, and also all the chatter which is going around is affecting him. He's that kind of a personality. So if you're not getting to be a part of a playing 11, that means it has to relate to something, right? So be it form or how you're carrying yourself. So I think from that point of view, yes, it has been a up and down of a run for him. Missed a few games with Sunrisers, and now haven't really got started World Cup on a good note. Couldn't really get going. So he's feeling pressure for sure. I mean, I would analyze it in that light rather than saying that he's a great player and he will come to form. Yes, of course, he is. We all know what he's capable of. But the fact of the matter is, right now, he's a bit low on confidence. Maybe needing a bit of attention from everyone, saying that yes, you can do it, and that's what he's searching for.
Yeah, he just needs to put out a TikTok video talking about his lack of form. Just pull out one of those South Indian songs and do a lack of form TikTok video if it was still around. But how would you, if you were Dasun Shanaka, Joy, how would you look to try and counter Warner? Knowing maybe there's lack of runs, Finch at the other end, throw someone like Chamira at him, or maybe spin even early?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if Mahesh Tishana plays, and I think Tishana is going to play, all indications are is that he's going to be fit enough tomorrow. If he's going to play, throw a mystery spinner at him early. Because see, all you need to do is, David Warner tends not to take risks when he's low on confidence. He tends to just play it out as he's low on confidence. The moment he does that, either he's going to give you his wicket, or the guy at the other end will get pressured because he's not scoring enough runs. So I think that's the tactic to take with them. And the Sri Lankans know, I think, what their weak points are. I think the good thing about the Sri Lankan side is nobody rates them. Asalanka and Rajapaksa just blew away everyone in the last match. Lahiru is prepared to take on everyone. He's the kind of guy you say, there are 100 people, he's going to come and say, I'm going to fight against all of you. So, and nobody rates this team because Sri Lanka for the last 3, 4, 5 years have been the train wreck of world cricket, whether we like it or not. From the side that, Zaheer has seen, World Cup finalists, regular World Cup finalists, 2007, 2011, terrific team out there. Last 3, 4 years have been terrible for a side like that, And one of the ways you can judge it is the fact that so few of their players even come to the Indian Premier League, which is probably the biggest league in the world. But this is a side, therefore, that takes no prisoners. They have no reputations. They're not scared of anybody. They're not bothered. So they're coming hard. and I'm enjoying their cricket. The way they played against a Bangladesh team and the kind of total that was put together and the way they chased it, I like the spirit that this team brings. And if they just do that, they play openly, Australia might just be vulnerable in this.
Yeah, let's not forget, this is a tournament that they've won. This particular tournament, they won it in 2014 in Bangladesh, but that was a time they had the birthday boy, one of the birthday boys from today, Kumar Sangakkara, Jayawardene. They had the whole gamut with them. So it is a building phase. But the one positive for them, Zaheer, is that since Joy mentioned Asalanka and Rajapaksa, some of the usual suspects in that batting order, be it a Chandimal or a Kusal Pereira, haven't fired yet. So if they can get the new boys and the old boys to fire and the spin to take effect and Kumara to start picking off people like a good fighter, that could be a good unit coming together.
Correct. They need Kushal Pereira to fire tomorrow for sure. And because you may not see 8 overs of spin from Australia tomorrow. They will look to take advantage of the Sri Lankan young batting unit, put them under pressure with their pace battery, and that is something which then the senior players come into play. And I think Kushal Pereira, having known for giving those kind of starts, if he fires at the top and puts fast bowlers under pressure to begin with, then I think that platform is set. Because you've seen Sri Lankan, one of the tactics they've been using, their batting short. And because they're batting short, they're looking to promote someone like Hasaranga up the order so that their power hitters can come into play. So that's the tactic they're going to have. And they don't want to be in a situation where the power hitters have to bat out of their positions. I think, so if that happens, then things will be very tough for them. But if they manage to just push the game to that point where the power hitters are coming into play at the right time, then it will be a tad bit easier for them. As the mystery of Thishana also can come into play, and Joyda was rightly saying that Warner will be cautious up front. So there are these are the ingredients which needs to go in Sri Lanka's favor for them to make the game out of it.
Yeah, all lots and lots of names, and 2 more names, Joy, we haven't mentioned, who have also played a part of late. Pathum Nissanka has almost settled himself into that lineup, and Avishka Fernando. I mean, there was a time when he was the first of all this list of names to come in there, made an impact early on, but just seems to have gone off the boil of late. So if he too can come back into form along with the Kusal Pereiras and Chandimals, then they could be a formidable outfit.
They could be a formidable outfit. They're an outfit in what they call in transition. They're an outfit in transition from the old team. There was a great team. They were no longer a great team. And now they're on the upswing again. They've fallen as far as they could. Now they're on the upswing again. And I really like teams like this are actually very challenging for teams like Australia, because Australia is an unsettled team. It's a very good team, great pedigree, but it's unsettled. It's not, they're not comfortable. Like if you see England now, England is very comfortable about how they're playing the game. I'm not sure Australia is completely confident about how they play this game. And I think this Sri Lankan side is a good side. It could be a very good contest tomorrow.
Well, let's just wrap up this discussion with a quick look at the points table from that group, because it could just mean Sri Lanka have a win under their belt. Let's say they go ahead and beat Australia. Just imagine you've got England on top, Sri Lanka second. You're not going to count them out as potential semi-finalists by any stretch, because if they've beaten Australia and they've still got someone like a West Indies to come who, with their spin, they can undo. Don't count Sri Lanka out at the moment as potential semi-finalists. This could be set up beautifully in a group with 6 test-playing nations. We have a question to be answered from Joy. First, Joy, can you remind us of your Joy Factor question? And then let's see which of our men are going to get onto that Hall of Fame.
I just try to confuse you. Which cricket record is jointly held by a country created by the Velvet Revolution and one that formerly had a stadium in Uttarakhand as its home base? Of course, the country, created by the Velvet Revolution, there were 2 countries, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. And of course, Afghanistan played their home games for a long time at Uttarakhand in the stadium in Dehradun. It's the highest T20 score, 278. And it's very interesting that none of the top countries hold it. And in fact, the Czech Republic scored this versus Turkey in, I think it's in the suburb of Romania. It's in Bucharest in the Continental Cup. They scored it. In 2019, this record was set. And I think they still hold the record for the highest margin of victory, because I think they got Turkey out for some 21 runs. And they still didn't win the tournament. Somebody else won the tournament. But, I think T20 cricket, those, associate nations are just evolving, and it's fantastic to see them. But
That's even less
I
than
hope
associate. I'm so glad Harsha is not on the show, because the first thing he would have done is he would have looked at me and gone, just tell me the number 6 and 7 for Czech Republic who played that game, as well as the Turkish number 4, expecting that I'm supposed to be the expert on all those obscure nations. And I say obscure with all due respect to all these wonderful up-and-coming nations in Europe and other parts of the world, like Papua New Guinea, who are coming into this ever-growing world of cricket.
Fabulous.
So let's have a look at who spotted this record, because it was a wonderful question. Obviously, you got Afghanistan straight up. Oh dear, I can't even complete my sentence. Tonmoy,
I think
you have to write in and tell us how you spotted that. I mean, I got Afghanistan in 2 seconds flat. Then it's about Velvet Revolution. Then how do you make that connection to the 278? You can write into us, Cricbuzz Live, hashtag Cricbuzz Live, or do Cricbuzz Live hashtag, whichever way you want to do it, because you'd probably get to us anyway if you answer questions so quickly. Tonmoy, please write to us. And we promise you from now on, we are starting that Hall of Fame. Once you've answered more than 3 questions, you will be mentioned, but you will not be the winner. Fair enough, Joy?
Absolutely. I fully agree. Let's give others a chance. And yes, let's put them in the Hall of Fame. So every time you see the question, you see the Hall of Fame as well. The answers, you see the Hall of Fame as well.
So we won't forget you. I know good quizzers, Zaheer, tend to jump on us saying, no. If we answer 20 questions, we should be rewarded 20 times. But don't worry, we will mention you and we will keep you always in the loop. Thank you, Zaheer. Thank you, Joy. It's been quite a double header, a couple of run chases that were laborious, but they got there in the end. And it's really been a tournament of keeping your head and getting there in the end. We'll see you for Australia versus Sri Lanka. In the meantime, from Cricbuzz Live, it's good night.